wherever you at, you've seen this news, but Capcom has come out and they have made a licensing agreement basically for anybody who's basically running any type of tournament anywhere that has Street Fighter 5 and maybe even Street Fighter 6 in the future. So I'll go ahead and give a quick rundown of this. So and the great thing about it is Ultra David actually broke it down and for us laymen what all that jargon actually meant. So basically the breakdown of it, the highlights of it are all tournament organizers regardless of size have to get a license from Capcom, either by satisfying and agreeing to this community license or by getting a separate esports license. To qualify for a community license, total event prize pools and revenue from sponsors must be under thresholds that many existing events will likely go over. TOs can't charge spectator fees, which is crazy, or sell merchandise based on Street Fighter 5 names, logos, and art. Capcom gets the right to use streamed footage and any photos or videos from the tournament. TOs can use an asset packet from Capcom to advertise the event, as long as they abide by Capcom style guide. And these community events criteria, what you must, meet within, unless you go get the esports licensing agreement. Individual tournaments, they must have a prize pool smaller than $2,000 and sponsorship revenue less than $5,000. For any TO in a 12-month period, they have to have a total prize pool less than $10,000 and a total sponsorship revenue less than $20,000. If it has a prize pool, you must announce in advance what the prize pool is, or at least how it will be calculated. Don't sell merchandise based on Street Fighter 5's intellectual property. I mean, Artist Row, Artist Alley, man. Don't charge any fee to spectators to participate in an event. So you have to meet all those. If you go over any one of those, you got to go get an esports license. And we don't even know what that entails. But Ultra David says by his, experience being in the FGC, a lot of times that's coming out of your pocket and paying Capcom for to use their intellectual property. So, said a mouthful to start off. Mr. Gamer looking like he's just ready to go ahead and give his opinion and punch someone at Capcom. So we'll go ahead and hand it over to you right now, Mr. Gamer. What was your thoughts when you saw this? And hopefully you took it easy on the poor innocent soul that felt your rage about it.
Excuse me. When I first saw it, I didn't really read into it in full and get the full gist of it. I saw the backlash that was happening. But when I actually I watched Maximilian's video on it, and he was showing Ultra David's his breakdown of it. And after I saw everything, it was kind of like, man, there's a lot going on. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, why is this, why have they waited so long to do this? We're pretty much at the end of Street Fighter 5, honestly. Bringing in the onset of Street Fighter. I mean, we actually got a Street Fighter 6 trailer, so we're at the end of Street Fighter 5. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, why did they wait so long to do this? And I mean, we talk about this company on the show a good bit as well, but it kind of seems like Capcom is trying to take a page from Nintendo's book. And I mean, honestly, with Capcom especially, I would feel like they're a company that is they should understand the importance of somewhat a grassroots foundation inside of the fighting game competitive culture. And then, I mean, a lot of the people that are buying your games consistently every time they drop, all the people that run these tournaments and come and play your game and compete in these events and stuff. And it's getting a lot more eyes on your game, and you get more people to buy the game. I'm pretty sure that's helping those numbers. So it's kind of weird to me. They just all of a sudden hey man, look, the whole I think one thing that stuck out to me was the fact it's nothing more than $2,000. It's what? So it's I guess they want to have only Capcom sanctioned events be the big bucks. I guess per se, they don't want any other events that's not hosted by them to be like, you know, 10K or more. Like, honestly, $2,000 is a lot of money, but when it comes to like these events, it's not that much. Like, so a lot of tournaments sometimes they have prize pools of like, you know, $5,000 cap. That's kind of crazy to me. I honestly, like the whole spectator fee thing is like, I just really would like to know like where all this came from. Like, what is the reason why they're doing this now? And again, some people, you know, some people are saying that like this is going to be like the standard for Street Fighter 6. That could be it. You know, everybody's kind of hinted at like they have these, or maybe Street Fighter 6 is like going to be more esports oriented. Maybe they're trying to like bring that era in, but it's just, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's unnecessary. On the side note, at the end of the day, it is their game. It's their property. It's their intellectual property. So I mean, like they have the right to do what they want to with it. But I feel like just the same with Nintendo when it comes to Smash. Like, why are y'all so like? Why does it seem like y'all want to hold the people back from doing something they love with your game? Like they're creating events, they're getting more eyes on it. It's like why hold people back? Now if they're doing something illegal, you know, sheds bad light on the game, that's one thing. But you just got a lot of people that are enthusiastic about your game. They want to play it. They want to hold events for it. I don't see what the big issue is with it. Again, you know, I'm not a big developer. Maybe I don't know something here. I'm not seeing something, but it's just I feel like this is really unnecessary. A lot of other people feel the same way. And it just came out of nowhere. It's like all these rules and regulations on just every little thing, just nitpicking every little thing. It's like you can't do this, you can't do that. It's like we've done this for years, like for so many games, like. And I don't know, man. Like this is like the wave of Street Fighter 6, and also depending on how good Street Fighter 6 is when it drops, I don't know, man. This might not be the best look for Capcom. Street Fighter 6 might be an awesome game, might be the best Street Fighter we've ever had a chance to play when it comes out. We don't know yet, but man, like this right here, this is interesting. I'm ready to, because I know they actually responded with like some I don't know if it was a backtrack, but they were seeing how so many people were disappointed with what was going on, and they made some type of response to it. So I don't know if they're going to change some of these rules or what, or keep them, but I don't know, man. This is just crazy. I right now I just think this is kind of just out of left field, and I kind of wish they would reconsider some of these things.
Well, I mean, after that, I mean, what else? I mean, what more else is there to be said? I mean, Mr. Gamerlift pretty much said it all. I mean, yeah, it is. Most importantly, it is definitely not a good look for Capcom, man. Like initially, when I heard about it, like when Rexon was telling me about it, I was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I'm just listening to all the stuff that they want people to do now, and it's like above a certain threshold, which of course is like one of those things. Well, as long as you're making money, and you know, you might as well do what we tell you to do. Because I mean, that's basically what it comes down to, is a situation where if you're going to have their product out there on the stream waves like that, you know, you're gonna have it for people to actually watch and consume, then they're going to want like we're talking about like the Capcom style, like, you know, requirements and stuff like that. Like that's the kind of thing that they start talking about when they say basically we want to take over your operation. You know, they basically want to take over your operation without actually taking over your operation. And so you can do whatever you want as long as you follow all of these rules that we have for Street Fighter 5. Other than that, you can do whatever you want, you know? So it's like what they say, like you can't charge for like for spectators. That's a little weird to me. I mean, I'd have to like it's, to me, all it basically does is say, hey, like, yeah, if you want to use our game and you want to stream our game and like by extension gain some kind of like notoriety off of like, you know, streaming, playing or whatever, like showcasing our game, you got to do what we tell you to do. And I mean, I don't necessarily like what they're doing 100%, but at the same time, I kind of understand where they're coming from as far as like, you know, trying to have control over their IP, especially when it's like, you know, broadcast to the public. Like you have like, you know, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know if I don't like it necessarily, but I feel like, you know, if you want like people, if you want to start have people like showing your stuff off, you know, you got to give them guidelines sometimes, I guess. And I guess this is kind of indicative of the fact that they don't really trust the people in the FGC that much. At least, you know, this is just me postulating, but it doesn't seem like they really trust the FGC that much, because if they did, they'd be like, all right, you know, as long as you don't do this, you'll be fine. But I mean, there's a lot of strict, you know, rules going on there, and I'm not saying like they're impossible, but they are a little strict. So the thing about it, when it comes down to it, is that one of my buddies was talking to me about this. It's like, let's say you get one of those like broadcasting licenses, right? Who's to say like what exactly can you do to like actually get it taken away, right? You could do something that might be conceived as like in some circles as being completely like innocuous, but if Capcom doesn't like it, they'll be like, oh well, you know, you did that thing, and some people might have said that they didn't think it was that bad, but we think it's bad. So guess what? You don't have a license anymore. So what happens when you lose your license? How do you get it back? Can you even get it back? There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into that. And, you know, like I mean, like they can do whatever they want, right? Like I said, it's their product, but I don't know. As far as like, you know, like showing that kind of side to the public, I don't think that was a very good idea.
You know, I want to first of all say, like, I'm kind of with y'all on the point that I get it. When it comes to you having an IP, you want to control, you know, the whatever happens with your IP. Like, for example, one of the things was, you know, oh, if you're going to be playing Street Fighter, we wouldn't like no extreme shouting, cursing, or anything like that. We don't want you selling, you know, stuff with our you know, characters in our logos and things like that. I get things like that. That's understandable. You know, that's stuff you can look at and be like, of course, who wouldn't? I mean, you know, I made this thing. I wanted to stay in the likeness and image that I envisioned for it. But when it comes to telling people like how they're gonna make their money, for example, the spectator, like you can't have spectator fees. I mean, spectators are a large way people, especially bigger events, make their money. You know, people showing up just to see, hey, what's going on? You know, I'm interested. I saw this big thing happening. People pressing a lot of buttons. It's a lot of click clacking happening. I'm trying to see what's going on. You know, I heard Mr. Gamerlift in here knocking heads. I'm trying to see what's going on. So, I mean, people. I mean, that's a decent way people make it money, and then like to cap the amount of money and stuff they can make before they possibly have to pay you is I mean, it's kind of like Devin said, like this is way out of left field. It's not like they came with some like, hey, you know, we're thinking about doing some stuff in the FGC as we get into this esports realm. No explanation, no talking with the community and saying like, hey, we're thinking about doing this and this has to happen because of this for what we're trying to take our games in the future. And we'd be like, okay, cool. We can, you know, send some of our top FGC representatives and they can talk with y'all about how tournaments go on and things of that nature. And we can kind of work out some type of, I don't want to say deal, but idea that you can take with you for the making your licensing. And it didn't. I mean, it would just be like somebody saying my name, like, hey, I turn around and get decked in the face. It was just out of nowhere. You know, so that's my thing. You know, I'm all for people, you know, like we do with the TVFGC brand. We're very, very careful with how it's handled. So we get that. But at the same time, it's just the issue with the money is the thing that's kind of like crazy for me. And then like the thing with them saying you can't, I get the thing that you can't sell merchandise with their stuff on it, but I mean that's a lot of that being sold. I mean, how many of y'all then bought some of the B dynamic necklaces with the Street Fighter characters and stuff on them? You know, I don't know if does that count? Can we buy those anymore? I want a little Ken on a bead necklace. You taking that away from me? You know, so I mean, it sucks. So Anybody else got anything else to say about this?